There are moments when I really need to take a breath after something like that. Not just because of the lyrics and the melody and the way the lyrics and the melody work together so beautifully, but the woman, the artist, the creativity that you and I just got to witness, going from the bottom of her shoe all the way through the top of her red hair, just every ounce of Margaret Owens gets used in a song. That's witnessing creativity at its finest, at its most unabashed. So I have a question for you this morning. In your mind, who are you? And I don't mean what's the list of talents you have that tell you who you are. Well, I'm a singer, I'm a dancer, I'm a minister, No. In your mind, who are you? Who do you relate as in this world? The title of my talk today is called The Mind's Eye. So she's talking about her mind's eye, but I want to know about the mind's eye, the great mind's eye. And the reason why I ask you, who are you, is because within each and every one of us, there is a voice, a knowing, and an understanding, an energy that leads me, that guides me, that tells me who I am, a creativity, my thinking, the way I think, the way I feel, my emotions, my passions, my disappointments, my failures, my successes, all of it. And it all wraps up into this one level of consciousness that tells me who I am. And yet, is that who I am? Am I really the sum total of everything I've experienced in life? Or am I life itself experiencing me? And that may sound heady, but I just ask you to think for a moment. When you ask yourself, who am I? Do you tend to relate that to something out there? Or something that you can point to that feels tangible? You know, Ernest Holmes, if I were to say, who am I? Ernest Holmes would say, you are the thing itself. The thing itself, God. That's who you are. Thomas Troward would say, you're the divine ideal. You know, you're the perfection of life showing up as you. Ralph Waldo Emerson would say, you are the oversoul. They all had their words. Walt Disney would say, you are imagination. Everybody has their word, that thing that says, who am I? I am all of this together, and yet none of it at all. That's who I am. So what exactly does it mean when I say, who am I? It's funny because there's a line in a chorus line. For those of you checking, that was about 7 minutes in. There's a line in a chorus line that I got to sing once when I was the understudy to this part, which was ludicrous because I was not Puerto Rican, and most of the audience knew that. I remember standing on stage and going, I'm a Puerto Rican, and I could hear these old ladies going, no, you're not. But there's a line at the end, he goes, who am I anyway? Am I my resume? That's just a picture of a person I don't know. Boy, that makes so much more sense to me today than it did when I was 23 years old, doing a chorus line. So, Margaret's lyrics, let's look at these. Now, first of all, this was written in 1998, when Margaret was nothing more than a science of mind zygote. Just so you know, she gave me that quote. I had to ask her, what does that mean? And she says, I'm the newly fertilized egg of science of mind waiting to be born. And I was like, yeah, I feel like that now myself. Because in 1927, Ernest Holmes wrote this book called Science of Mind. And in 2021, I'm just starting to understand what he meant. And you know what? I don't think he understood what he meant. I think something came through him and he wrote it. And it was just, this is what we are. And we all went, a lot of people went, oh my God, that sounds so good. And now here we are 100 years later, we're going, and this is why it was what it was and why it is what it is. So in Margaret's lyrics, I know that the space between the branches holds the meaning and the essence of the tree. Now, Margaret couldn't have known in 1998 that she literally was writing a quantum physics song. Could you have, Margaret? Did you know that? No. She just let words fill her. But right, Tiffany? I know that the space between the branches holds the meaning and the essence of the tree. Yeah, because in quantum physics, in understanding what life is, the particles and space all are intertangled, or as someone said recently, intertwingled, into one another, into this wide, infinite scope, this landscape of energy and love and creativity. That's what we're finding. Pure creative energy at the essence, at the center of everything. Even the space in between what we call life. There's space between me and Michelle right now. But you know what that space is? It is this energized field of creativity. That's what it is. And we can quantify it, we can weigh it, we can literally cause it to show up as a particle. And so what we're finding out now in quantum physics, Ernest Holmes talked about 100 years ago without the knowledge of it, without really understanding what he was saying. So how did that happen? Well, next lyric from Margaret's. And I know that the picture reeling in my head unfolds the beauty and the mystery that is me. Again, who are you? The picture reeling in my head. What Ernest Holmes asks us to start to understand is that thoughts are things. That what we think about ourselves shows up in form. Well, actually, that wasn't really very novel because Jesus of Nazareth said the same thing. It is done unto me as I believe. It is done unto you as you believe. I don't think we ever really took that seriously. I think we were maybe just starting to take that man seriously. And I would hope we take him seriously, not the religions that sprung up around him, but actually go and look at what he said maybe and what his ideas were. Because it is done unto you as you believe is the centerpiece of quantum physics, ironically. Because how you use your creative mind is how your life unfolds. The space between the branches, what I call the creative thread that holds it all together. The space between my words, the space between my thoughts, the space between my understanding of what life is and my living what life is. Ernest Holmes said this. He said, when we get into the field of mind, there is no past, present, or future. They merge into one medium. He wrote that in 1927. That when we deal with the mind, there's no, oh, here's my past, it made me who I am, and here's the future I'm looking for. He says, no, it's all one thing. And this Thursday night, as we dissected more of quantum physics for 3 hours in the advanced consciousness class, I could not sleep when it was over. The ideas were so hard to grasp, hard to make sense out of. And yet, as I explained to the class on Thursday, when we started the class, I said, I don't have the words to really make sense out of what we've all read this week. And yet it makes sense to me. I just don't have the words. But I feel it. It seems right. It feels good. It feels expansive. But I don't know that we have the words. And there's a Werner Heisenberg, who's a physicist, said, not only is the universe stranger than we think, it is also stranger than we can think. And I thought, that sounds like me. It's stranger than I think, but I can't think how strange this is because it's that big. Because here's the idea. Past, present, and future collapse into one field of possibility. Past, present, and future collapse into one field of possibility. So it's very possible that this talk that I'm giving today shows up somewhere in the future having been caused. And I have to give it today for whatever is going to happen. Because in the collapsed world of time and space, there's just one thing going on. We also say that all the time, don't we? There's only one thing going on. One thing going on. That's what that means. That's what Ernest Holmes meant, even though I don't think he knew what it meant. So that's all the quantum physics I'm giving you today, because I don't want anybody's head to explode. I'm actually here to inspire today. As I tell my students, your only job is to inspire. Don't get up and try to teach. People don't go to church on a Sunday morning to go to school. They go to feel good. School is out. Let's continue. So today, 100 years later, today, that space between what we see in our mind's eye and what we experience in the world, that's actually what I'm interested in. Because, at the end of the day, no matter what we're talking about here, no matter what class I'm teaching, no matter what talk is being given, if Eric Overholtzer's up here giving a talk or Tiffany, the only thing that matters is, can I benefit from this talk? Is this going to do something for my life? Because I can go be entertained elsewhere. But is it going to enhance my life? Am I going to know more about me, know more about my life? Is it going to help me be more successful? Is it going to help me be more happy? Is it going to bring more love into my life? Is it going to let me open up and allow more love out of myself? That's all that really matters. So, the space between is what I want to talk about. Because we all inhabit this very small space in the universe. My body inhabits a very tiny little space in the universe. But my mind is the universe. That's what we teach. And I think we spend way too much time in this part, this is my little space in my own little corner. That's Cinderella, Rodgers and Hammerstein. Second quote. We spend a lot of time living in this world of form where everything is so important. So do you want to know how exciting and inspiring it is to start to understand quantum physics as the answer to what Ernest Holmes was teaching? It's so exciting that nothing matters anymore to me, that I can actually relax. I can let go. I can trust and know my life has always been, my life will always be. This is one of its moments, and I can actually get everything out of it I am here to get. And I mean here to get, because the universe is constantly giving. And I spend so much time trying to create. And the universe is on the other side saying, what are you doing? I already created it all. It's all here. Everything's done. You have nothing to do but allow. Allow it in. And yet, probably the hardest thing to do for us as humans, to allow and to say, I'm not creating anything. I am allowing it. Because our egos get in the way. Our egos step in and go, no, I'll create this. I'll make this happen. I'll do it. Anybody else out there, any control freaks out there? No one in this room said yes. I know you all. So, we tend to want to control everything, and yet, if we would just surrender and allow the creativity of our minds to take over. Do you know how hard it is to be creative when you're worried? It's really hard. Oh, you're still creating. Let me be clear. But what are you creating? Just more to worry about. Usually the same thing you're worrying about, more of that. Every time we use our minds in some negative capacity, every time we use our minds to go down, the old lane of the past, or even catapult ourselves into the future, we are missing the point, the only point that matters, and that is what today is all about. Remember, Ernest Holmes said, when we get into the field of mind, there is no past, present, or future. They merge into one medium. For me, the present is the key to unlocking the future. You want to unlock the future? You want to go on Price is Right and win a car? The only way you can do that is to know. In my mind's eye, I see this as myself. This is who I see. She saw herself on the show. She saw herself winning. I don't know if you saw yourself winning a car, although you knew it was car week. So what were you going to win? A bike? So in your mind's eye, going back to Margaret's song, who are you? Now, I'd like to suggest today that perhaps, just perhaps, if you were to take everything away from the description of yourself that has anything to do with the physical world, you might be getting close to understanding, a path to who you are. You're not a doctor. You're not a nurse. You are not someone who had COVID. You're not someone who's worried about COVID. You're not someone who's trying to get a vaccine. You're not any of those things. None of it. They're just all parts of this story that is being told through you. In my mind's eye. And what I love, this is what I love, because when I heard it for the first time, which was just a few days ago, I was like, oh my God, in my mind's eye, I'm also a figure skater. When I watch the Olympics, I am those people. I'm like twirling in the air. And Kevin will tell you, we have gone to skating rinks, and because I do love to ice skate, we've gone to skating rinks, and I've tried to do those tricks. I can barely stand on the skates, but I will show you how I can go backwards, and I'll try to twirl and fall right down. But in my mind's eye, I'm dancing on the ice. Other people are tripping over me, and I'm a nuisance. But for me, there's a different thing going on. Whenever we go bowling, I love that we call bowling, when we bowl as a community, mind over bowling. It should be mind over ice skating, mind over bicycling, mind over football. That seems a little stretch for me, but mind over whatever. That's what her song, that's what your song, Margaret, to me is all about. Understanding. Just for a usability factor. Forget about quantum physics. I love to understand why it's true. And when I understand why it's true, I believe better. I believe stronger. When I really know, things change. But if it's just about the usability, if it's just about the way you use your mind, Ron, that when you use your mind appropriately and according to what you want in your mind's eye, you can be a ballerina. And I love that you did a ballerina on the ice, but I loved all the flashing bulbs and all the reporters, and because you really went to the Oscars with that ballerina dancer. There's something in you that knows who you are and doesn't get scared away or confused by the BS you put in front of it. And I mean your belief system, of course. It doesn't get confused by that, because there's something inside of you that's not interested in all of this. This is just the confetti that falls out of the sky. It's manufactured. It's not real. Or as my good friend Rick Tamlin says, it's all made up. Well, if it's all made up, then why don't you make up what you like? Why don't you make up the good stuff? Why don't you make up a career that you're passionate about? Why don't you make up a relationship that is so loving and so creative and so fun to be with? Why don't you just make up what is yours to make up? In my mind's eye, everything is possible. In my mind's eye, I can be whoever I choose to be. That's what this whole teaching is about. That's what Ernest Holmes was all about. That's what he started talking about when he came out of all the transcendentalists funneling into this little man and him going, I think I get it. I mean, he was like this big. And his voice wasn't particularly fun to listen to, like mine. He would get on a stage and just talk, and thousands of people, Peggy Lee, important people would come and listen to him. And why? Because he was just speaking truth. And today, you and I, we actually get to not only speak truth, we get to live from the truth. I think it is time for us to stop arguing if it is the truth and start really arguing in our minds for the truth. To really step into the very essence of what Margaret's song is all about. Because in my mind's eye, I can be a figure skater. I could be just a man sitting on the side of a river. So rich, I never have to work another day in my life. Giving to everything that I think needs being given to. I could live till 124, as I read this story about the oldest woman. 124. And when she was 123, an interviewer interviewed her and said, I really hope that we'll be able to do this next year. And this 123-year-old woman looked at this young reporter and said, "You look healthy, you'll be here." That's, that's the mind's eye I want. That is the mind's eye. The divine ideal, the oversoul, the thing itself, my imagination, all of it. It speaks one thing: who I am. So I invite you this week, spend some time asking yourself, who am I? Because when you get to the real depth, deeper, 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 you will find out that you are all of it, not just a part of it. Namaste.